Here we're going to show you how to install the keypad membrane repair kit in the KX-TGA400 or KX-TGA200b telephone. You need some rubbing alcohol. 91% alcohol is the best. 70% if that's all you have is okay. You need a cleaning rag or toothbrush, possibly some Q-tips, and a small screwdriver, a flat one of Phillips. This is to fix bad buttons, mostly the number 1 button, but all these buttons fail. What happens is the rubber oil leaks out of the rubber keypad and it gets in the circuit board and it goops up the buttons. Take the battery cover off, unplug the battery. There are 2 screws down here at the bottom. Now I've taken a ton of these apart so I can get them apart easily without the flathead screwdriver. I'll show you how I do that. Basically, I pull back, apply some pressure, use my thumb right in there so it holds it back, and then you can push right here and that unsnaps. There's a snap there and there's a snap there. That you usually open it up. Some of them are really stiff, but usually that'll get it. Then I apply some more pressure, do similar over here, kind of twist it, and you can get it off. But that's does take a little bit of practice, and some phones are easier than others. So if you have trouble, you can just apply some pressure back like that. And a flathead screwdriver, you're not prying or anything, you're just getting that one little clip off. So just get it in there a little bit, like that. Boing. You shouldn't have to be damaging the housing at all. And then another one up here. You're not like shoving it in or trying really hard. You're mostly applying the pressure back here. There we go. Once you've gotten those 2 off, it's pretty easy at that point. You can just wiggle it back and forth, and there's 2 more snaps and one at the top. That'll come off. When you get it off, sometimes these little charging pins here, they just sort of wedge in there. And a lot of times they'll be out and they'll be stuck in here like that. And you might be able to get them out with your fingers, or you might use some small tweezers or pliers. Just pop it out. And you're going to want to have that back in there. They go right in there, both of them. And you also, occasionally, they'll break. They bend over. I'll show you that in a close-up. And sometimes they break, and you can bend them up if that happens. The end's broken off, but you can take the tweezers on the end and just bend it up a little bit. If they are broken, they won't touch on these pads right here, and your phone won't charge when you put it in the charger stand. We have one more screw up here at the antenna. And then you can just pick up where the battery plugged in back here and just flip it over. Now this one has already been cleaned pretty much. A lot of these are just soaked with oil, yellowish, gooey, sticky stuff. So what I'll do in that case is I use the battery door to hold it up level and then apply rubbing alcohol. I've got a little dispenser bottle, but if you don't, you could use a toothbrush and get it on there, and you can rub it like that, or I usually get some on there and just sort of let it soak. I don't try to clean it off right away. It'll break down that oily goo, and you can use a rag and clean it off. A lot of these will have some green buildup, corrosion around these silver dots, especially in the bottom half down here. If that's the case, try to get that stuff off, because it will eventually cause some damage to your phone. Maybe a lot of brushing with a toothbrush, or just some slight scraping, not anything rough, just some slight, or Q-tips too. After you get the circuit board all cleaned off, you have this membrane, and you peel this off and stick it down, and it'll fit right like that. And it's cut out with these notches, and around the microphone, around this where the battery plugs in, and this is the ringer. Pokes through, there's 2 solder points there, and it's got holes cut out for the LEDs. So, all you gotta do is pick out a corner to get this brown paper liner off. And then just kind of go slowly. Don't rip it off real fast, or the paper will rip, and then you'll have different pieces you have to get off. Just kind of slowly. If it starts to rip, go at a different angle, and there you go. Now, you have some chance to redo this if you don't like how it went down. You know, if you put it down and it doesn't look quite right to you, you can just pick it back up, reposition it. The adhesive works really good after like 24 hours. So you don't need to really try to get it stuck down, because once it's put back in the phone, it's not going to go anywhere anyway. Now you may notice that these black circles aren't perfectly lined up everywhere. It's not really that important. You can see that this is definitely good enough. So don't worry too much. As long as these all line up, that's lined up, pretty much good to go. And you just flip that back around, and there's a pin here, plastic pin. This wire for the speaker, you know, is best to get tucked right in there. This may be taped down on the top of this, and you can just peel that off probably earlier in the process, but get that down like that. And make sure all these rubber buttons have come up through the holes. Make sure you push the antenna all the way down and put that screw back in. And you got the headset jack. There's a clip on the top. Just kind of put that in first. And then it'll all snap into place. The last 2 screws. Now when you put the battery back in, it's pretty much always going to say there's only 1 bar. It's going to say the battery's dead, but it's not really dead. The phone has just forgotten. You've unplugged the battery, it doesn't know the condition of the battery, so it assumes it's dead and tells you to put it in the charger. Until you go through a full charge-discharge cycle, it's not going to tell you the right value of the battery charge level. But, as you can see, the buttons are now all really fast, responsive. And that membrane will block the oil from getting, any more oil from getting into the keypad anymore. Basically, your button should work perfect indefinitely. The reason why the buttons break in these is because of the style of the buttons here. You have to, the black pill contacts have to touch the center and the outside ring. And this circle, this diameter, is just barely enough to touch the very tips of the triangles on this outer ring. So it doesn't get good contact, and any kind of dirt or goo in there ruins it. Another common problem with these once you've taken apart, as I said, those will fall out. They're also quite often bent, and I'm going to zoom in here. This little end here, see if I can get a better shot of that. There we go. That little end is supposed to be bent in toward the body part of this clip. If it's bent the other way, then it won't line up, or potentially won't line up with these pads it's supposed to touch when the thing's put together. Sometimes they're broken off. This is weak and it has actually busted right off. If that's the case, you can take small tweezers, pliers, and bend up the very end just a little bit. You wouldn't want to bend it backwards because it's already shorter. You just want to bend it up a little bit. If you have a soldering iron, that can help too. You could put a little bit of solder at the end. A lot of times when I'm repairing these, I'll put solder in there to keep them from ever bending again.